Hi, welcome back to Future Fast, and we have Chandrasekhar Arcot once again with us. And today we're going to talk to him about his perspective on the future. And before I bring him into the conversation, I hope you're all enjoying the conversation. And those of you who have missed the two parts of our conversation with Chandra, I urge you to look them up. Please go back, check them, and do join in here. Or you can actually continue with this and then go back and listen because once you hear this, you'll probably want to know where he comes from. So, from that context, those two parts will really fit into it. And I hope you're enjoying. Do share your feedback on what kind of conversations you're enjoying, and also hope you're sharing this podcast with your circle as well. And if you're not subscribed to it yet, please do it now. With that, Chandra, once again, thank you so much for making time to be here with us. And
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Chandra, what are the biggest changes you foresee in future from today? What do you think? Maybe two parts to it. One, what are the
hmm
things that we are likely to see that we don't see now?
hmm
And what are the things you think will not change? It'll continue to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Predictions are always difficult, right? I mean, you make some, and 2 years down the line, you find out, oh, I thought of it, but it's totally different from what I thought of it, right? Yeah. But in the context of taking off from the vector where we are today, I
Yeah.
mean, all the generative AI and I mean, repeating what is out there in the outside world so much, right? It's probably we are at a point in time where it's revolutionized what we are experiencing today, right? So if you're looking at all walks of life, whether you're writing a simple blog post to looking at designing something, we do take help of at some aspects using generative AI. And uh, that's almost like how Google changed our life in 2004, 5, where search was totally changed right after Google came into play. I foresee that to continue, and a lot of traditional roles as we see today may get completely transformed, and uh, and that's not even long term into future. That can happen in the next 3 to 5 years. Especially, I'm talking about software development, the design activities. I'm talking about all parts of life where we are having people executing these jobs and collaborating as a team to bring things out as products in the hands of customers, right? Whatever is not physical and tangible, whatever is the knowledge that can be automated, will definitely get automated, whether through AI or through other means. That's definitely going to be the future. What we have as teams today, which require 20 people, will be 2 or 3 people down the line. It's not that people will lose jobs. It's about people will start to do a lot of different other things that they are not doing today in terms of doing more programs or doing more products and working on those things. That's one aspect of it, and it's almost like there's no blind side to it. It's bound to happen. It's not something that is there. In terms of the work uh, part, I see a lot of it to be decentralized in the sense that hybrid work is going to be the norm. Uh, in terms of, we are already seeing it. We are not only hybrid, we are also uh, locationally agnostic in terms of the way the project teams are set. The challenges before was uh, the so-called resource in North America used to cost 3 times what you'd have a similar resource in India, right? And it's not the case now, which makes it, uh, I mean, locationally agnostic. You can have a demographically diverse team. There are a lot of benefits to it in terms of perspectives. I'm purely talking from the design standpoint. the way somebody views things in North America is totally different from someone here uh, looking at things in terms of building a product. Having the diverse teams, I mean, it's paid for us, and I'm looking at others, making it a norm as we go along. And this diverse team also means that not all people will be within your organization in terms of subject matter experts or people who can add, like when I say significant value, exponential value to realizing the program. They would be part of the team, and it's mostly going to be a consulting or a gig that would be putting that team together. It's not going to be all of them within the organization. The experts can come in from anywhere, and the teams can be fluid. That's what I'm visualizing as what the future development teams would be. And for the teams themselves, I see people used to think I know a lot, and then I will use this knowledge to build something. That's no longer the case. Even today, I am forced to do a lot of hands-on work just to keep up with the technology. Uh, with the experience that I have, if I were to be 20 years behind with that kind of experience, I would have just instructed the team to do what they are supposed to do. And being the upskilling is lifelong, I think. I mean, people coin term like lifelong learning and all of that. I strongly feel it is true, and that's going to be even more relevant as we go down the, I mean, years to come. And of course, there are many other things I think we touched upon before as well about sustainability, about tech and other things. Uh, I am not too equipped to look at those, but yeah, those would become center stage, I'm pretty sure. The way things are evolving, uh, we may argue that one way or the other, but I think those will take center stage as we go along, especially in the areas that we are operating.
So how do you propose one should prepare for these kind of things?
Yeah, I think there are a few things that I can think of. One, the decision making today and in future is going to be top down. This is most organizations, big and small. So the buy-in should come in right at the top. So somebody who has to take decisions should see the vision clearly and be able to say, yes, this is required, and I should go ahead and look at. I'm talking about sustainability or including AI in your work process, or the amount and level of AI that needs to come in. Uh, it's not a tool that is completely solving your problem, right? There are challenges of bias, there are challenges of security, privacy, and all of those, which are the things that will push someone to take a decision one way or the other. So the decision either way should be driven top down. That's one of the key things. The second things, which will never change according to me, for any success, uh, any new initiative, you should always build small, test it. If you fail, you drop it again, recoup and test it. But uh, starting grand and trying to go to the market never works. It's always going to be uh, build small, test, whether it's with the customer or with anything else, before you take it mainstream. And that also culture as a culture should be driven top down. And that is another way somebody can equip themselves to look at any of the new technologies. I mean, uh, people would read a lot of papers around how generative AI will change business, transform business, a digital transformation will happen if you bring that on board. But it may not happen for you. When I say you, your business at hand, right? The only way to learn is to build, test, and learn for your business. And one of the things that I would advocate strongly is uh, don't build large teams to do this experimental exercise. If you have people who are in-house, uh, half equipped, but uh, enthusiastic to learn and build, uh, encourage them, to support them, bring an expert from outside. That's the right model in terms of getting things to be tested. So that's what I would advise as well. Don't build large teams and go after these problems. There's a lot of money spent. There's a lot of uh, which also means that your R&D budget keeps shrinking, right? I mean, you don't have when you need it most.
Correct. So who do you think are the people who are doing things that is going to change the world in future? I mean, today, who are those who are changing the future in your opinion?
I OpenAI comes as top of my head. Uh, Parallel to that, there are equivalent open source technologies that are out there, whether it's Llama or any other open source language models. Uh, I would look at a mix of all of this to be, yeah, Databricks is another company which is doing a lot of work in the language models. All of this would be potential stars that would emerge and take things off in future. Apart from this portion, I'm looking at several of the other verticals like food tech, agri-tech verticals. I mean, I'm not a big fan of plant-based meat, but that's also something that will take off. I'm sure for multiple reasons, I'm sure it will take off. In space tech, I'm very, very happy about the amount of space tech that is there in India today, especially the people who are funding it and the startups who are really running away with it in terms of the products that they're building. And you really have to have a big vision to get into something like this. And those are all the pillars of deep tech progression, right? Whether it's space or I mean, fintech has always been there as a big source. I wouldn't look at it as deep tech, but on the science and engineering front, I would put space tech right on the top in terms of the offering that they bring to the table.
Well, any names if you were to take, who do you think are the ones who are changing these?
Yeah, people like Agnikul, Skyroot, all of those are big
Mm,
players. I would also look at all the EV players and EV component makers as deep tech stars as well. Even though we have many and some of them are struggling to find their foot in terms of bringing products to the market, it is necessary. I mean, it is necessary to have a lot of players doing a lot of things. Uh, some will succeed, some may not. When I say succeed financially, but all the products, it's definitely a learning for the country and for the ecosystem at large. So EV component makers as well. I mean, I've spoken to folks like Chara Technologies who are making revolutionary EV motors as well, right? So there are many
mm,
such players who are operating in this area.
right. Uh, well, incidentally, I'm trying to get that guy to the podcast. He did show interest, but not available yet. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So,
you should talk to them as well. Yeah, it's definitely, Bhakta is a good person to talk to.
yeah, he did show interest, but not able to set a time yet. Okay.
Okay.
So, in the what would you want to advocate for from a point of policymakers to the startup ecosystems that you work with,
Hmm.
right? How do you think they need to adapt to the changes that you talked about?
I think there are already a lot of incubation centers that have come up. I still feel uh, they are not fully equipped to help realize deep tech products. There are
Mhm.
some which are catering to that, and I'll stick primarily to the deep tech startups because of my awareness in that. Because fintech has always been this glowing star for India, right? I mean, there are many unicorns plus unicorns. There are a lot of activity in that area, and that's funneled significant growth for the startup ecosystem in India. But deep tech facility to
So
enable
what
that,
what is required in your
I
opinion?
would look at a lot of development centers and prototyping centers, which are extremely essential for doing that. When I say development centers, both the digital and the physical development uh, is the cornerstone for any tech that needs to be developed for this kind of work, right? And today there are a few, but one, they don't have capability to develop the entire gamut of what's required, both from the mechanical prototyping, electrical, electronic, as well as the computing framework. Uh, that needs to go up a significant notch. When it's there, it will help people to use that facility and propel themselves. There are two set of startup founders I've looked at. One, very keen, totally understanding of what it takes to realize it, but do not have facilities to do that. Though some of them have approached us, and even at times we are expensive for them to work with, right? I mean, it's not that they have free money to spend and build. If given a facility like what I'm talking about, they would build, use workshops and prototyping centers to build, test some of those ideas. And that's essential because unless you fail 5 times, you are not going to pick that idea that is a winner. And every idea that comes in your head will seem like a winner until you put uh, uh, pen on paper, build
Totally.
something using
Yeah.
physically, right? So enabling stuff for that is extremely important, and that's what will take someone forward. If you look at all the funded deep tech which are doing really well, they're already funded for that reason. And like 20 funded deep tech startups, there are 200 which are not funded because of lack of facility to develop
Correct.
it languishes. If you distinguish it from a software or an app-based startup, right? It's easy to go vertical because you have programming knowledge, you have a laptop, you can code, you can make an app, whether it's Android, iPhone, and then you're up and running, right? It's not the same for people. You
So
need to build, and each build is expensive,
right.
and you
So
need
what about
equipment to build and test.
college lab facilities uh, with the incubation service? Don't Can't they match up to it?
Yes, yes. I mean, not all of them, but I can count quite a few of them today, which are very close to what's required for the industry. If someone, I am not sure if the students have the freedom to use it for all kinds of work in terms of building the startup. Uh, but if given, the equipment is there to deliver it. So that's definitely one of the pluses that I see. Uh, of late, I've been working with a few engineering colleges and looking at what they have today, both in terms of software and the physical laboratories. It's, I mean, it's huge leap from where we were in the 90s. It's so much closer to what the industry requires.
Hmm. Hmm.
And if
So
there is a focused uh, startup ecosystem within the engineering colleges, there's nothing stopping the student because today in some colleges I see there is a startup ecosystem, but in others where it's equipment and software already in place, but not an ecosystem in place.
correct. And also, most students are still very academic focused, right? So even
Yes,
within a
yes,
campus, incubation facility has to cater to startup initiatives from outsiders or even from the alumni. I mean, perhaps to some extent.
yes, yes.
So the whole
Uh,
idea is that then those facilities have to be made available to these startups in the facility inside the campus.
Yes, yes. But if you look at most of the big campuses, it's already there. There are ecosystems within the organization. They support not only their students, their alumni as well, if
Correct.
they want to come and
Correct.
set it up. Uh, However, that focus is required. I mean, if you want, the organization should focus itself. If you look at the universities in US and rest of North America, there's already a huge focus in terms of doing that. You would even have professors co-developing with the students on an idea that could become a startup idea, and with external funding if required. So there is a vesting for the professor also in that process.
Correct.
It's happening in the IITs here. Uh,
Mhm.
it should expand to all other universities here. That way, then the ecosystem becomes vibrant at the college level. And that's very essential for any of the tech-based startups.
Right. Right. Well, at the start of this conversation itself, in fact, I asked you about uh, what changes do you foresee in the future. Now, do you want to give some prediction independent of it, or what you talked about as what you foresee in future is your prediction? How do you put that?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to, like I said, it's difficult to put out
Correct.
what the future looks like. But I strongly foresee a lot of tech activity in India. I mean, especially near term, there's already momentum that is taking us forward. And I only see that expanding more and more. And that's something as an additional prediction. I definitely look at not just us, Axiom, but you'll see lots and lots of new startups, uh, not all commercially successful, will come out and try to solve many of the problems in agri-tech, food tech, space tech, health tech, clean tech. All of these areas, you will see tons of action, more than what we are seeing today.
So, what do you think will change India or humanity to the better? Is it technology or is it human behavior?
I would look at the second one. The human behavior has to be the one that changes. And it's happening in a small way. I'm a big believer in the simple living approach, where you just have to look at what's essential for you, right? It's the not the world where you try and acquire everything and anything that is available out there, and does not everything fancy is something. Look at a fancier car, fancier house. I'm looking at something that will be simple living, both in terms of day to day and in the larger context. I see a lot more younger people, the youth, are getting on board with that kind of thinking. And that will augur well for us
Oh,
as
you do?
we go
Okay.
along.
So you actually see a lot of younger people thinking like that?
Yes, equally number of people who are hooked on to Insta, as well as people who are thinking of simple living.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's a positive note. Okay, right. Thank you, Chandra. And uh, it's uh, it's been really nice actually catching up and also uh, you know hearing your perspectives and possible uh, future. Uh, and also you're very optimistic as well,
Yeah.
which is uh, which
Yeah,
is
I'm yeah. That's probably because of the experiences I've had in the near future. That's probably what drives my optimism.
No,
And
I think entrepreneurs are fundamentally optimistic,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
you don't want to you can't be pessimistic. I mean, you can't be
yeah,
an entrepreneur if you were to be pessimistic.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
uh,
But yeah,
yeah,
going
what?
with your future past theme, I feel definitely it's an optimistic future and definitely something to look forward to. Yeah, even
Uh,
though we are at a stage where we will not see tons of future, but yeah, maybe that
right.
also changes the increased lifespan as well.
Oh yeah. To add to that, we've been privileged to have a few people who believe in longevity or curing aging. So,
Hmm.
one is Aubrey Degray. Very
Hmm.
interesting, insightful conversation.
Yeah,
So,
I definitely look
so
it up. Yeah.
yeah, Aubrey is also. I must say is one of the most popular podcasts with almost 2,500 downloads. Uh,
Wow.
Only for his, I mean, all three parts together. And also, there is Dr. William Andrews is his name. He has
Mm-hmm.
been one of the senior-most researchers in the aging space, and he's also an entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
who's created a lot of products. So do look up his podcast as well.
Yeah, will do.
Very interesting insight. And also, we had a couple of people from transhumanist uh,
Okay.
party of USA. One of them was Zoltan, who was also a candidate in the presidential elections in US in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And one other is currently the president of uh, transhumanist party uh, uh, in US.
Oh,
So
yeah, look up all of those. Yeah, thanks for pointing out.
yeah, he's Gennady Stolia Rao. So very
Mm-hmm.
interesting conversation. Whereas Gennady is a very typical operations focused man, and Zoltan is the founder of that party, and he's a dreamer.
Visionary. Yeah,
So yeah, very they're two separate podcasts.
yeah,
So yeah, aging is another thing which is very interesting, and a lot of it is conflicting with the thought coming from India, right, where you
yeah,
actually
yeah.
take things. So even the audience and listeners, if you have missed those conversations, please go look them up. All these four conversations are very
Yeah.
different.
I'll definitely look it up as audio. Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you once again, Chandram, for making time and for sharing all your thoughts. And for the audience, please do look up the links are given below this podcast. Follow his work, and you can also follow him, connect with him,
Yeah.
and
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not
yeah,
on Twitter, so
yeah.
that's
The
the only
links are
platform.
there anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you once again, and till we
Meet again.
bring bring one more
Yeah.
guest, enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being part of this. Thank you.